What if I told you that the best player of the back-to-back UCL winners, PSG, is not Ballon d'Or winner Dembélé, nor Vitinha, who has been going crazy in the Champions League. Their best player is the engine of the team, Vitinha. What I think is that Vitinha is just straight up the backbone of this entire PSG team. He had a very solid performance in the final, and that 75% possession that PSG had, Vitinha was probably the biggest part of that, with 141 passes completed. The guy who came second with that was Marquinhos, with only 88 passes. That's crazy difference. He was in a whole nother level that final. This guy isn't your average underrated player hype person. If you look closely at what this guy is doing for PSG and the Portuguese national team, Vitinha isn't just a top 3 midfielder in the world right now. I think he's a legitimate, undeniable Ballon d'Or candidate. The truth is, Vitinha does everything on the football pitch. High work rate, this guy is unmatched, and his press resistance is also elite. Game control, absolutely top notch. Yet, despite being the single most important player in the stacked PSG squad, he still flies almost completely under the radar for the casual fan. Today, we're gonna break down the numbers, the tape, and the tactical genius to prove exactly why Vitinha is outplaying the rest of the world. Before we even touch or mention a single stat, we'll have to talk about the sheer satisfaction of watching this guy play football. In an era where modern midfielders can feel robotic, overly programmatic, and just recycle possession, Vitinha is an artist. He's small, but let's not judge him too quickly. Physically, he doesn't have like the imposing frame of like a Rodri or the explosive athleticism of a Bellingham. But on a football pitch, physical size is irrelevant when your football intelligence is operating 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Watch his scanning. Every single time Vitinha moves, there is a smart intention behind it. He doesn't just look for open space. He manipulates the opposition to creating that space for him. His game control is pure masterclass. When the tempo of a match needs to slow down, he holds onto the ball, baiting the press, and absorbing contact effortlessly because of his low center of gravity makes him nearly impossible to dispossess. When the game needs to break open, he accelerates the play with one touch. It's pure playmaking in its truest form. He makes the incredibly complicated art of controlling midfield look completely effortless. But even though the eye test can be subjective, that can only get you so far in the Ballon d'Or debate. So let's back up the aesthetics with facts. Not opinions, but facts. Because when you look at the analytical breakdown of this season, the numbers are crazy. Let's start with consistency. A lot of players look like superstars when things are going well, but Vitinha shows up week in and week out across every single front. He's dominating both domestic football in Ligue 1 and the absolute highest tier of European football in the UCL. According to FODMOB, Vitinha is currently the highest rated PSG player in all of Ligue 1. Let that sink in. In a squad filled with expensive, world-class talent, a guy like him is leading the charge. When they step onto the European stage, he's the second highest rated for PSG in the entire Champions League campaign, just right behind Vitinha. Now the reason I don't consider Kvaratskhelia the best player for PSG this season is because he has been very inconsistent in the league. As you can see by the ratings and his stats, for a top class winger, his stats in the league aren't too good. But now, if you want to talk about the sheer work ethic and engine, Vitinha has the most distance covered of anyone in the Champions League. He is a tireless, high work rate machine that acts as both as a shield and the sword of his team. And his distribution is just straight up crazy. He holds the highest accurate passes for 90 minutes. But he isn't just stat padding with short horizontal passes to his center backs. For PSG, he tracks the highest accurate long balls per 90 minutes in both the Champions League and Ligue 1. He's launching precise, devastating transitions while also maintaining an elite pass completion percentage. Oh, and also, he has tied for the most assists of every player at PSG, specifically in Ligue 1. He isn't just part of the machine, he is the machine. But now this is where people might start arguing in the comments. How can you say that he's probably better than Bellingham, Rodri, or even Pedri this season? Well, let's break it down tactically. Jude Bellingham is a generational talent. While his raw Real Madrid leans heavily on his final third crashing, scoring crucial goals, and using his physical presence. But when it comes to true deep-lying midfield dictation, controlling the actual rhythm of a 90-minute football match, Jude doesn't do that as well as Vitinha does. Then you look at Rodri. Rodri is the gold standard for anchors, a defensive titan who acts as a safety net. but Vitinha offers a level of dynamic agility and creative flair in tight spaces that Rodri simply does not have. Vitinha provides defensive coverage while carrying a significantly higher creative threat on the ball. And finally, Pedri. When Pedri is on the pitch, he is absolutely magic. This guy has a crazy touch, crazy passes, and his football is also beautiful. But in these days, availability and consistency are everything. While Barcelona has struggled to find stability in their midfield transitions because Pedri gets injured a good amount, Vitinha rarely gets injured and is always there for PSG, dictating matches every 3 days without a single dip in form. When combined work rate, long-range passing accuracy, press resistance, and creative output into a player this season, Vitinha is simply operating with a more complete toolkit than his teammates. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Can Vitinha actually win the Ballon d'Or? Historically, this award usually goes to the flashy goal scorers or the PR-inflated players. Because Vitinha plays a style that is deeply calculated, he stays somewhat under the radar for the average fan who only watches 60-second TikTok highlights. But the football world is finally waking up. The praise and recognition he deserves are starting to arrive. And look at this Portugal squad that he gets to play in for the World Cup. Portugal has one of the most absurdly stacked squads in modern football history. When you drop a world-class tempo dictator like Vitinha into a midfield alongside the creative firepower of Portugal's roster, you create an unstoppable international powerhouse. He gets to be along Bruno Fernandes and João Neves in the midfield. That is a crazy partnership. Even though Bruno Fernandes might get the goal contributions, I think Vitinha might be the engine for this Portugal team, and if they win the World Cup, I think there could only be possibly one answer for who wins the Ballon d'Or: Vitinha. PSG's success runs entirely through him. If PSG make a deep run or get silverware, he enters the conversation as their undisputed best performer. You cannot ignore Vitinha anymore. You cannot hide behind the excuse of Ligue 1 tax when he's outrunning and outpassing everyone in the Champions League too. He has the stats, he passed the eye test, and he has some crazy football IQ. Vitinha isn't just the next talent, he's here right now, and we should start treating him like the top 3 midfielder he really is. But what do you guys think? Is Vitinha actually outplaying Bellingham and Rodri, or even Dembele and Vitinha this season? Or am I just reaching? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown. I'll see you in the next one.